South Asian and Desi poetry event before? Okay, we have a few. I feel like it's rare. Growing up, I went to some that my parents dragged me, but they were in very advanced Urdu, and it was only uncles in the crowd. So this is already a very diverse crowd. A lot of them are going to be in English, so I'm just so happy to have a South Asian storytelling specific poetry event in Dallas. I'm so happy to see this turnout. You don't know, actually, Mehfil is an Urdu word that basically means an intimate social gathering that's centered around culture and conversation, and that includes poetry. So really excited to hear everyone's poetry tonight, and I want to thank the Dallas Asian American Historical Society. If this is your first time in this space, this is run by that. It's basically a nonprofit that's dedicated to preserving Dallas's Asian American storytelling, and they also have a exhibit space, which are in the Museum of Asian Texans, and it's an amazing space. They recently had a whole South Asian Texas art exhibit, and they host amazing events like this. So thank you so much to Stephanie, the co-founder, who allows us to use this space. And thank you so much to the event planner, as well as our vendors. If you didn't get a chance to see them outside, please do so. And I'm going to introduce you to Vera, the person who made this event happen, and she'll talk a little bit more about what Desi Digest is and how this event came to be. So.
Hello everyone, my name is Vera and I'm the founder of Desi Digest magazine. It's a publication that promotes and provides a space for South Asian media content, storytelling, and journalism. So the idea for this came to me about 3 years ago. My junior year of college, I was studying English, and I was exposed to spaces like this where creatives, journalists, writers, basically just people that had a lot to say, would come together for the purposes of creating, collaborating, networking, and just reveling in each other's work. And I wanted to emulate that for the South Asian community here in DFW. And I'm glad I get to do that today. So the idea is to basically have a literary journal as well as cover politics and journalism in DFW as well. And it goes back to the essence or the principle behind this, which is the significance of arts and humanities. We can talk about technology and STEM and how it pays our bills and stuff like that. We can talk about how the current stuff like AI is taking over or whatever. These are all very hot topics. But to keep it simple, arts and humanities, storytelling, when we're younger, we're told that experience is the best teacher, and stories are, experiences, and that's how we learn. And so ultimately, coming to events like this is what I would like to encourage people to do. Meeting nuanced communities, meeting people that come from all walks of life. We're all so different, but we're also similar as well. So, there's just so much to learn. Arts and humanities, it's a way of life. It teaches life. It builds communities. It strengthens our society, and it's not just something that we do for recreation. It's something that keeps us together, and it's very, very important. So I'm going to start us off with a poem by my friend, also one of my nearest and dearest friends, also my college roommate. So she is not here today, but she wanted to be a part of this tonight. So I'm going to start us off with that. So this is Dipti. So she is currently in medical school, and the inspiration behind her poem is she spends a lot of time talking to patients and families, and there are many times in medicine where someone is looking into grief, or a physician is looking into grief from the outside, and it just kind of shows that perspective. The doctor's eyes stuck in between acceptance and hope, the family searching her eyes for an answer at the end of the road. Her gaze of sympathy meets their despair, the patient's soft breathing and unanswered prayer. There's nothing more we can do, their hearts are laden with gloom, igniting fires fueled by what-ifs and if onlys. The physician witnesses their testimonies. The doctor's eyes struck down in respect, she thinks about each and every decision to reflect. The heat of a mother losing her child fill the room, mourning the diminishing breath of the creation born of her womb. The doctor starts her rehearsed speech, while the husband remembers the life in his wife's face now out of reach. We should think about unplugging the machines. The kids in the hallway, unaware that their mom will not see them as teens. Tears betrayed the husband as he asked, "Is there and you were able to spare Rain each and every cry. The doctor's face filled with understanding and a sense of helplessness. A glint of emotion reached the doctor's eyes, but she had long ago learned how to suppress it. The family held on to each other. Everyone came to say their goodbyes, from her uncle to her brother. They combed her hair and held her hand. The kids came in and laid with their mother to say a farewell they had never planned. Cheeks stained with tears and memories, the doctor stayed in the room and listened to the stories. She held their hands and told them how it had happened. The family shuddered as she recounted the chain reaction. We are ready. The doctor explained what would happen again and kept it steady. Each member of the family held her hand so she would not be alone. The ventilator was turned off and gone was the loud drone. The heart rate jumps, tense breathing echoes throughout the room as the heart fights to pump. Then begins its downward descent. The doctor observed the process. Was there anything she could have done to prevent it? Breath slows, heart stops. The flat line reflected in glistening eyes. The woman had left cutting with ties. The doctor stayed. Grief had settled in, and its bed was made. The doctor offers a gentle touch. She stands in the back and becomes a crutch to provide support and a listening ear. As grief thickens the air, acceptance draws near. She did an incredible job with this, and she really put her heart into this. But again, it just goes to say that storytelling, it takes us everywhere. Learning from each other. It changes the way we think. It changes the way in her case, it changes the way that she looks at medicine. So it's very, very important. So thank you so much. Also, thank you so much for coming, and I'm deeply grateful. Thank you, everybody.
So amazing. We actually met a couple months ago at a South Asian film event, actually also partnered with the Dallas Asian American Historical Society, and we very much resonated in terms of South Asian journalism in Dallas. So a little bit more about me. I was born and raised in Dallas County, specifically Irving. Do we have Irving? No, Irving's great. Irving has a great South Asian community, but I was born and raised here. My parents immigrated from Pakistan in the early 2000s, and I went on to study journalism in Austin, and since then I have been back in Dallas, back in my roots, and pursuing more South Asian American Texas projects, whether it's through articles, through social media, through film, and as well as community events, so partnering with amazing organizations. So this is so perfect to be here. I'm so honored to be y'all's MC for tonight. We're honored to introduce all the amazing poets that are being so brave and coming here and sharing their stories. We're going to have 8 amazing poets. It's going to be very interesting, seeing a variety of South Asian topics, a lot of them having to do with identity, upbringing, family dynamics.
right, and how much we don't want that to shape us too. So the first poem is called Mecca, and Mecca basically means like after a girl gets married, her home family is her Mecca. So when I go back to visit my family, that's my Mecca. Okay. I can't no longer wash the dishes at night when you're too tired to. I can't no longer make a buchai or warm up his food because you're too tired to. I can't no longer clean up the fridge, handle the house when you're too tired to. I can't help you prepare for a dawat and sit with all your friends to catch up on the latest. I can't no longer sit with you as you share your every moment. I not only miss your smell, but your warmth. I was never really a hugger, we only hugged on Eid. But being miles away, especially when you're in so much pain, all I'm craving is to lay next to you. I wonder if you still sing while cooking in the kitchen. I hope the walls aren't too silent with none of us being there. It even hurts to not hear you snore across the hallway from my room, or hear you yelling our names over and over. Romana, need you out, need you out. Always scared, what if this is the last time I talk to you? Always scared, what if the only thing you remember me is of the last argument we had? Always scared that this is the last Allah Hafiz. Always sad to see how lonely you're at home. But I really hope you know that this new phase in your life is a powerful one. You don't need to serve others, no need to please others. I hope you know how much beauty there is in solace in a quiet home. You can occupy the space however way you want. When you don't need to fulfill every role that this culture puts on you. But I also know how much you love to serve others, feed others, sit in others' presence. I know how much you loved being in our company, even if all three of us didn't want that. I know how much you love to cook food and cook even more the next day, even after there were so many leftovers. I hope you heal. I hope we open a new door to our relationship, one that isn't as bitter as the last one. I hope you see me with kids. I hope we don't have a goodbye that I'll regret. I hope I get to take care of you a little more. So this next poem is also a little similar with the family dynamics. It's a little much relevant to my brothers and I, and also just growing up. We always grew up with our uncles and our aunts, but you know that always came with a lot of fights and arguments. So yeah, this one is called In Another Universe. Maybe in another universe, we aren't too afraid to spend time with each other. We don't walk on eggshells around each other. We don't have long periods of silence despite being in the same room. Our dinner table is filled with conversations and laughter, and not awkward glances and small murmurs. Maybe in another universe we can try again to be loving and affectionate, overturn the law of love we were raised in, be the siblings we prayed to have instead of repeating the cycle we saw in our living room. Maybe in another universe I'm not questioning my work in your hands. Maybe I'm wondering if you really care about me. Wondering a million ways to try and talk to you without feeling like a nuisance. Maybe in another universe we would know more about each other. The misunderstandings are just little whispers in the back of our minds. And our knowledge of another louder. Maybe in another universe we can stand all in the same bridge, see the same sky, but with hollow sounds dancing between us. Thank you.
Sorry, it's a tight space. Thank you so much, Ramona. That was really powerful. I think you did a great job encapsulating the feelings of family relationships and dynamics evolving, so that was very powerful. Next up, we have Kavya.
Only 5 feet, sorry. Hi everyone. I'm really honored to be here tonight. My name is Kavya Babaraj, and I'm so excited to be surrounded by poets and people who love poetry as much as I do. My background is actually in social work and mental health, and that deeply informs the way that I write. I recently published a book. It's called Mindscapes. And thank you. That's the QR code for anyone interested to purchase it. be a part of a community that values words and expressions. So if you'd like more information about joining, please feel free to come talk to me after the show. Thank you so much for listening. I'm excited to share my work with you tonight. I'm performing 3 poems today. My first poem is about generational trauma. It's called Inheritance, and you can find this poem in my book, Mindscapes. Also, snap if you like. Okay, Inheritance. We were raised on heavy things. Dinner tables where silence sat louder than love. On fathers who worked themselves to ash. On mothers who stitched their mouths shut and called it sacrifice. We learned that strength meant smiling with cracked lips. That love meant carrying hurt quietly. That rest was luxury we had no right to claim. The weight they passed down stops here. Not because we are unscarred, but because we're willing to bleed into something softer. To grow a new language of love our children will never have to translate. Thank you. My second poem is about revisiting my childhood beach in India, and it's the feeling of nostalgia. It's called Grains of Time. The grains of time sift through my toes. The sea inhales deeply, each wave swallowed by the infinite. My heart feels it all, a reminder that time has passed. I'm older now, and the sun is a witness. Permanence is an illusion, and yet I promise my return. My third poem is about empowering oneself when you feel like you're taken for granted. It's called Lighthouse. But my heart is not a waiting room, not a lighthouse for the lost. It is an ocean, vast and wild, pulling with tides of my own making. I will not stay where I'm not seen, where my giving is a given, when they sip from my well but never wonder if I thirst. No, I'm not a lesson in patience. I am a lesson in leaving, in knowing where a heart this big deserves to be elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kavya. Please do scan the QR code and check out her book. It's very clear part. I didn't know McKinney had a poetry society, so it's an amazing community to keep it going even after this event. Next up, we have Akshay. If he's not here, we can circle back to him and we can continue with Ruthie.
That's okay. Okay, hi guys. My name is Preeti Jayaraman. I'm from the DFW area. I grew up in Capel. I live in Louisville now. And I've been writing for a really long time. I've been writing since I was a little kid. I used to really like writing song lyrics and poems, and I'd write them on scraps of paper and put them in this like big Ziploc bag that I have in my house. And I've just always had an affinity towards words, language, writing. It's always been something that I feel like has come naturally to me in the way that it's been a necessity for me. Like I don't know what I would do without language and without writing, speaking, saying, performing. A lot of the work that I do is centers around themes of identity, and this includes themes of queerness, themes of being a daughter of an immigrant, and a lot of my poems kind of tie these ideas together. And yeah, sorry, I was a little nervous. Okay, but I also wanted to do a quick shout
Me and my friend over back there, Janae, Janae, wave. Okay. me and my friend Janae and one of our other friends, Angel, we are starting a new community organization called Sapphic Storytellers, and this is for any queer women and non-binary people that write, that perform. So this is directed at actors, poets, singers, screenwriters, stand-up comedians, everyone who writes and performs. We're planning on doing some events where we'll host writing sessions together, as well as doing some once a month open mics. And stay tuned for that if you're interested in that at all. We have an Instagram account. It's called Sapphic Storytellers. It'll look like a really dead account because there's nothing on there right now. But I promise it's a real thing, and we'll be posting on there soon. So yeah, that's a little bit of background. And I'll be reading two poems today. One of them is a poem. The other one is more so a creative nonfiction piece. And this first poem I wrote recently. It's the first time I'm performing it, and it's about the concept of leaving somewhere and finding a home somewhere else, and then returning to a place you used to call home, but may not fit or feel like home anymore. And the context for this is I recently graduated from school in Philadelphia, so now I'm back in the DFW area. So I'll read this first poem. This poem is called Poitavare. In Tamar, you never say you are simply leaving. It's inauspicious to speak of going without return. Goodbye in Tamar is Poitavare, derived from po as in go and va as in come. I will go and come back. When my dad leaves to the grocery store, he says in English, I'll go and come, quickly, like second nature. Leaving in Tamar is a revolving door. To go is to be 1 second closer to your return. Moving to the Northeast 4 years ago felt urgent. 2 checked bags, 1 carry-on, and a backpack with zippers bursting followed me through mold-ridden dorms, the second-floor bedroom of a co-ed frat house, and eventually to my own off-campus studio. You would think I'd have mastered the art of packing, but each miniature migration was catastrophic, leaving irreparable damage. Earthquakes took form in keeper throw piles, in pinholes on newly bare walls, in retiring a set of keys. Moving to the Northeast was urgent, but I didn't know that until I had arrived. Like a breath of cool mountainside air after years of city smog, my lungs expanded. The move 1,500 miles away felt easy at the time, but the movement created a fault line, a rift in my realities, and a new beginning ensued. Pressure built from one address to the next, but I took comfort in never lingering anywhere too long. Grew comfort in saying yes to every subplot, international flight, illegal rental car, any overpriced Amtrak that came my way. I loved everything about movement except for the change. If only I could live in the middle and never have to deal with beginnings or endings. There is such sweetness to the middle. In catapulting across the country, I forgot about the recoil, the inevitable backswing ensured by Newton's third law. For a force so grand to pull me to Philadelphia, I should have expected an equal and opposite force to send me back to Dallas. Home starts in the 8-lane highway back from the airport, circumventing construction cones on every third intersection, watching the May sunset over miles of flat, grassy plains. This was home in the way that I grew up here, but what about the home I have built for myself during the only years of my adulthood? Where do winding superhighways and narrow, numbered grid streets intersect? What if my lungs deflate? My adult life hung in the balance of perpetual transience, stuck in the oxymoronic loop that was the constants of leaving. I made stasis out of movement, a life from escape, freedom from fast feet. Returning to my metropolitan suburb, I grapple with what it means to stay, to find stasis in stasis, to find acceptance in what was, to discover belonging in what is. to Poitevare. My leaving only brought me closer to my return. My next piece is actually a creative nonfiction piece, but it's like kind of poetic, so I'll read it poetry-ish. This piece is about me and my relationship with my dad, so I know this will hit hard for some of you. And it's about returning back to Chennai with him and seeing his hometown and his home city. It's called Starlight Over Marina. There is nothing mechanical about this, Dad said, hands behind his back, feet sinking further into wet sand. It was as if my ears had a filter, picking up on Dad's soft voice, amplified against the tide, against the night. The crash of each successive wave was met with the light chirping of silver anklets as young girls skipped towards and away from the water, their pavares raised to their shins as they danced playfully in and out of the current. I don't know if I've ever experienced perfect weather before. This is perfect, I let out with an exhale. Whatever heat in the afternoon, the sea breeze will take over, Dad replied as he shook his head with certainty. Marina Beach, Chennai, except my dad still calls it Madras. It was always Madras to him as a young boy, and to his parents and their parents and their parents. The British renamed every major city, but Chennai will always be Madras. My father had no family name to carry when he was born. For centuries in Tamil Nadu, there was no concept of a last name. My dad was born Seshasai, a god's name, specifically Lord Vishnu's name. Lord Vishnu is the protector of the universe, tasked with restoring the balance between good and evil in the world. In Vishnu's name, my dad was born to become a father. Dad had two dreams to fulfill when he moved to the United States. One, build his dream media room. And that's low-key everyone said. And two, buy a Lamborghini. He's still working on the second one, but he achieved the first. It didn't happen all at once, but he worked at it and upgraded slowly over the years. From a decades-old sofa to a leather couch set with reclining seats and light-up cup holders, from a 50-inch TV mounted on the wall to a projector bordered by LED light strips accompanied by a premium sound system. This was his American dream. Dad led me on the streets familiar to him by motorbike, gripping the handles on the side, sweeping past the street vendors in T Nagar, racing by gardens in Teampit, we reached Santom. Dad finally had the chance to show me Santom Secondary High School, his high school. Right here is the principal's office. My brother and I would come here a lot. Him only for good reasons, me only for bad. I pointed out the biblical murals, the crosses lining the walls. He told me it's a Catholic school. He belonged to a school full of Hindu boys that would recite hymns at the church across the street. Bhatti takes a look at me for the first time in years and does not hesitate to express her shock about my appearance. When did you stop shaving your legs? You like your hair short like this? If you gain more weight, you will no longer fit into those saris you bought. Find a nice Iyer Brahmin boy, Preeti. Only then you will be happy. In my lifetime, I have taken the privilege of being other. A privilege that was not afforded to Dad, one that he could not wrap his head around. My name is Preeti, and that means love. Love is stretched in a household of four, and it's shared both unequally and conditionally. We ate meals in 4 separate corners of the house. My brother streamed shows on his laptop in the dining room. Mom with wired earbuds followed along to YouTube budgeons in the kitchen. Dad in his media room, red walls, flat screen, metal plate held in his left hand and sambar rice scooped with his right. And me seated on the living room couch flipping between channels. We all found our own worlds to escape to, sharing the same meal lifetimes apart. The American dream. Mere days before my dad and I went to India, he finally filed for divorce. Mom said he wouldn't dare to do it. According to her, it was an inauspicious time to make life-altering decisions. Hearing her say that was his final push to follow through with his decision. We spoke on the phone past his bedtime. Do you regret not doing it earlier? You want me to speak honestly? Yes. You tell me what a wasted life this has been for me. How would I have been happy, trapped in a marriage, in a house with a stranger? But there was good too, right? I don't know. You know I'm not one to sugarcoat things. From a young age, my dad was nicknamed Ravi, the sun, bright, buoyant, the ultimate source of life. It was only after growing into adult that I realized he was also born to be a son. He said there is nothing mechanical about this, but what more is a tide than mechanics? A highly choreographed push and pull at the moon's accord, burgeoning crashes and timid curtails via gravitational pull and centrifugal force. It is entirely mechanical, but that doesn't stop us from watching, from playing, mesmerized. Hands behind backs, hands on hips, standing completely still as to not miss a beat. How I want to tell him that his migration too was a matter of mechanics. He, like those who claimed the land where we live, had a manifest destiny to fulfill. His life was written in stone, and I have been blessed with the opportunity to dream. How I would never tell him such a thing. How I will visit the place he worked his whole life to leave, and I will sink my toes deeper in the sand. The stars above us flicker, constellations disappearing and reappearing. We stand, hands behind our backs, wind in our hair, and sink deeper. That's all. Thank you guys so much for listening. This was just such an amazing opportunity to get to share both of these pieces, and I'm so excited to hear everyone who's next.
Echo everyone's like that was amazing, Ricky. I love the way you explore like a sense of change and home and belonging, both from you moving from Texas and Northeast, but also your dad's building the same belonging from India and Chennai to the US. So thank you so much for sharing. Now we're gonna circle back to Akshaj. So go ahead.
Hi there. Well, sorry, it looks like I missed time going to the bathroom. But I'm here now. I'm Akshaj. I grew up mostly here in Dallas. I don't have too much to say before I start reading, but I will say if you're interested in South Asian poetry, my friend Mehfil, he's curated for the past 7 years an Instagram page called Voices of Bhakti, and so I'd recommend checking that out. He does translations and new poems from South Asian artists, so you can check that out. My poems are not so much about, I guess, identity necessarily, but I've got 5. The first 2 are maybe about a little closer. Okay, thank you. First 2 are maybe more about Texas, and then the last 3 are fragments from a series. So I'll just get started. Texas film strip. Cradled, palette, a few tones from sky-born turquoise, simple blood red. Flash of neon green and pale yellow headlights to palest yellow-brown. A tight blonde bobbing bouquet, silver dulcimer and gold dust choir. Guttural angelic, black man in all-white suit. Calfskin interior with cow print and alligator boots. Indigo, violet, and the rest. Sunset born again. Monumental valley view, all askew. Alright, and the second poem is Sarcophagi. Sporadic migrations by the millions. Taut, vibrant, oblong shards folded in for travel at 70-odd miles per hour. Heat and tarmac conspire to make liquid to entomb. The fossorial sacred vehicles in black rivers, the sneaking mausoleum of our people known as the interstate highway system. Discovered by an alien race as if it were the tomb of many a failed and minor pharaoh, roving the desert plains in divine disfavor. And these last three are from a series, so they're sort of connected, basically. Journey to Atalanta, Fragment 1. I'm V, V for vernal, hesitation in a blank. August, or A, if you will. Moving further, closer, yet still. Let's go on an adventure, her eyes invite all the more piously. It's raining, we won't take yes for an answer. Don't be silly, rain is the best time to go. The door pushed open to the light. If you insist, but don't go so fast. An open sky, free, bleeding wound without redress. Isn't it wonderful, eh? Tell me, doesn't it bring your skin alive? Rain dances, and she's rain dancing, hodgepodge, and inspiring with each perspiring drop. Well, my coat's ruined. A storm could, no? Don't be so glum. Can anyone help being a chum? I'd rather be below. She studies after all by staring at the sky. Anything, please, just not the earth. There goes a bit of luster. Only a moment at a time. Winding paths open, downward spiral, ladder descending. Fragment 2. The vaquero asks, have you enough to drink? He takes it seriously and tells the vaquero off. We're quite fine, thank you. Which could only make a vaquero laugh. She watched him go and said, he wasn't so bad after all. As if he thought. Ooby-dooby, the singer sang. Ooby-dooby. I don't get it. It's wonderful, she replied. I can't write without my pen, she suggested. Odd, he couldn't relate. It's the paper for me. Haha, she said, wise guy. They made it down to where he swam on late nights. In turn at early morning. Frozen gaseous bubbles formerly descended in rich black wave. Love is a perpetual motion machine. Engineers don't believe in it. Does that trouble you? She asked. At a precise depth, crystallization performs an opaque process. Don't you see, he said. I hate to hold my breath, she exclaimed, and only after struggle did she slip into that well. Fragment 3. Pucker down the blue-black bowl, drizzle emerging quite fine indeed. Men have that luxury, you often forget it enough, and that's the rip. That you could subsist wholly alone, never fearing that sinking obscurity, nightshade and loathing, she said. Never forget that there are two rules of endearment that we breach at risk in terms of engagement floating us along, he replied. I just cannot stand that righteous fantasy of a wild garden, akin to the generously lugubrious paradox of the Nietzschean women who are neither 50 foot or 5'5". Elastic, plastic, jaundiced peppermint, turpentine cover, she said. Water is what is, the cave is not so much. When or whether, but rather how far.
So much, actually. I love your playful use of language and all the different fragments I'm hearing from you. Next up, we have Joy.
So, hello everyone. Hello. So myself Joy Sagar. I am from Hyderabad. I published a book on poetry and one book on Telugu short stories. Both are available on Amazon. So I also run acting classes in Plano. So if anybody's ever interested, you can contact me. She'll tell you how to find me. So I'll read a Telugu poem and an English poem from my book. Okay. With కొంచెం అలసట ఆపై కొంచెం ఊరట కొంచెం కష్టం ఆపై కొంచెం ఓదార్పు కొంచెం బాధ ఆపై కొంచెం ఆనందం కొంచెం నేను తోడుగా కొంచెం నువ్వు ఇక చాలు ఈ రోజుకి ఇవి చాలు ప్రతిరోజుకి So that's my Telugu poem. That's the translation written there. So yeah, from my English book, poem titled Times We Danced. Remember the times we danced. The rain was tired, but we still kept dancing. Remember the times we kissed. The sky was jealous, but we still kept kissing. Remember the times we hugged. Every passing wind tried to break us apart, but we still kept hugging. And the poem titled Never Ending Minute. As I walk down the memory lane, I come to the final minute. The first time I laid my eyes on you. I still remember your smile, your eyes locked with mine. Walking through the crowd, if I can make just one wish in my entire lifetime, what should I wish for? That the minute should have never happened, or that the minute should have never ended. A poem titled Lovely Sun. Why do I love the sun? Why? Because it reminds me of you. Leaves me in a cold, dark place at every chance. When I cried and slept off, wakes me with a warm kiss. Tell me then, why can't I love you and the sun the same? Poem titled My Love, My Home, and My Forever. Beneath the nightmare sky, vast and spread, I followed what's left of the stars, that whispers about an old darkness. Guided by the compass of my own heart, needle pointing to the lone bright light. I have traveled far and long and tired, through storms and shadows and battles. I seek, I search, and I finally found the light. Oh, I finally reached you, my love, my home, and my forever. So that's all from me today. Thank you. And I would like to thank my fiance for selecting these poems.
That's probably. Okay, one second.
So much joy. Yeah, I love the way you described emotionally as well intimacy. Definitely check out his acting and filmmaking training. Next up, we have Nadia.
Hi all, my name is Nadia Chaudhry. I am Bangladeshi, born in Jersey, lived all over the country. Before I start reading my poems, I just wanted to take a moment and I don't know if everyone's aware, but Bangladesh is going through a lot of turmoil and it is heavy on my heart. It's heavy. And I look around this room and I see so many different people from what we would say so many different places. But the truth is that land and mati tends to move continuously. And I find borders, nations, state lines, such a desperate attempt at us to make a definition out of something that cannot be controlled. And so my hope is that through all the despair and all of the anger and fury, something new comes out of that land. But I'm also really grateful for this room because I don't know if I could be in a better space today. So thank you. And thank you to Stephanie novel before I knew my alphabet. So I was the only one who could read it out loud to everyone. So this is all I've ever been good at, or I assume I'm good at it. And just a little bit about how I write, because nobody can really see it here, but I write in shape. My writing comes to me in images, or sounds, or colors, and when I say images, I don't mean pictures, I mean the shape on a page. And so I tend to work backwards using white space, punctuation, letters, characters, to build the sensations I'm being motivated by. At some point, I start to build meaning using actual words. So if I lose anybody, I guess it's intentional. Forgive me, I'll apologize beforehand. So the first poem, I have 5 poems. One is a bit of a lengthy one, so humor me, I'm trying it out. But this first one is Dua. The knot in my shoulder nestles into Duk. Grief and sorrow, somewhere between larynx and daughterhood. I whisper a prayer behind my teeth, swallow it whole, push its words towards the burning tendons. They melt plea and ache into your likeness. Baba's illness burns in the back of his diabetic knees, burns his laughter. It strokes his hand at night, wakes him to say that I will be the one to break his fingers. So he paces the house, listening for his toes. Fatigue overpowers the azan. He sits on the prayer mat, recites, terror cannot be heard through telephone lines. Calmly, he rocks back and forth, his clairvoyance, that genius in his eyes. It says, I am why the loitering men in front of Bama Bazaar avoid him. Illness whispers to him, any body can be smashed between a semi and a freight truck. It shows him the ways flames could lick up my sides and crawl through my nostrils. Illness could find my eyes too. It wraps a wick around my waist and waits. This next poem is titled Aroko, which means healing. Aroko. Because I no longer pray, I shower twice a day. I've left 72 strands on the shower wall, my concession in 37 hairs, all curled into corkscrews, 35 kinked into loneliness. I've run my hands over the counters to catch crumbs. The toaster remains unplugged, there are water stains on the tea kettle, and I've thrown away 12 socks, smelling of detergent I no longer use. There are 4,400 hadiths, but Rumi has left 70,000 verses. I've broken all the champagne flutes on the bathroom floor, sprinkled shubhangi to make them glisten, and have opened the rihal, the ritual of unwedging, and itcha lodged between an anticipation and my lungs and propriety. Asho, discover with me what is worthy to be written. Press the spine of the journal down, curl the corners of every demand with blue ink. Come. Be free. I'm not sorry for the way I am. I make space, I welcome. I have washed off the kajal, the outside air, the teeth removed from my forehead and nesting on the bathroom mirror for another day. I smell of rose, recall Nanu, her nighttime routine, massage upward, drink water, feel for any clenched muscles. The body is mine to tangle and gnaw. I rest myself with calligraphy and sit. The book rests, wooden hands are empty, no couplets for recitation. There is a basil plant on the windowsill, just so there is someone to breathe with me. Delicate leaves grow on apartment air, censored sun. We two coexist. Shared spaces with the roses, their dignity on the kitchen table. I comb a few heads in hope to see their petals come off. Their elegance, how they hold what should have been long gone blossoms. The television runs mute, not to disturb our threesome. This next poem is the long one I was speaking of earlier. It's inspired by the grocery store and the black and white floor tiles. When we first moved here, my husband and I went to the grocery store often just to feel some sense of comfort, to spend time with vegetables, I guess. So, home finding. Thursdays, S and I drive to the grocery store. Music from the 90s and aughts and teens, from when we are getting to know one another still. After all these years, he feels new to me still. He her little hands. 3 by 5 of me at 15 months. Diapers, white turtleneck, curls brushed out, sitting on the kitchen table, reaching for Majumama's hand, holding the fork full of mango. Dadi used to say, be cautious. You'll be eating with the fruit cleaned off their hands and cutting board. When I studied after dinner, Mom would bring me a plate of lechu, grapes, watermelon, chopped nashpati, bewildering that apples made my ears crawl, my spine seize. Cucumbers, chilies, zucchini, eggplants, okra. How do you think they cook these? Asked Chuckles. I've only ever had bitter melon with you. May just be here for you. I'm happy he finds me funny. The Museum of Mushrooms, priced as high as $58 per pound. The turnip greens, delicate, fast to wilt. The mustard greens, hardy. They need to be massaged with mustard oil, otherwise they taste too wild. You could cook them. I leave the bowl letching out when making worka, as says they look too much like critters. But how can they have zucchini in November? Chinese cauliflower, like Queen Anne's lace. I add it to the cart, as asks what I'll cook with it. It's pretty, don't you think? The halibut is $36 per pound. White fish, 1-inch cubes, best with mixture of fish and prawns. Bunch holy basil, bunch green onions cut. Less than bunch dill, finely. Bunch cilantro, rinse thoroughly. Dirt is in the veins, finely chopped. Preserved lemon, green chili, minced, shallot, sauteed, golden. Garlic slices browned, salt, white pepper, mustard oil. 1, mix ingredients together. 2, steam until fish cooked. 3, serve atop jasmine rice. Nanu's recipe, Manush Buligati. How to cook, the everyday foods. Achara on weekdays, lemons and salt and sat in the sun for 2 months, minimum. S picks out the saffron. The bottle says it is from hair. Oh, let's research turmeric. I have an idea for an essay. S read Hawking with me, then the chef stories, the chemistry chapters on heat's impact on herbs, just picked. He is homesick, I know. Let's make curry this weekend. His hand still cold from the walk through the seafood section. Bechara. There are aisles and aisles of pastas, dried and fresh. I want to buy it all. So many. How about we get a pack or 2? He looks best in a white tee, faded tattoos visible, his uncle hairstyle, glasses, black jeans. Yeah, okay. I can imagine aisles and aisles of rice. Sticky rice for brunch on Sunday mornings. Grind, steam it, knead it, slice, saute with onions, turmeric, salt, add scrambled eggs and honey, dakaya, smuggled here. Process of pita, the palms raw, flushed. Some days the cravings, my bones hurt. The rice we stuff inside bamboo shoots. Herb chicken, the kind to make rice pudding with, especially good for mothers during the first 40 days. There is the rice we only keep during the harvest season. Fried pomfret, mula. We wear white charis, red borders. We pull our hair back into low buns. Fresh flowers. We don't ask people if they are hungry. We ask if they'd like to eat rice. I never liked pasta until you took me to that one Italian restaurant in Brooklyn. The potato balls were so chewy and the kima tasted familiar. What is it called again? Gnocchi with bolognese. Yeah, it's like kima with aloo. I have to remember, a burger is not a taple kebab. S, buying ice cream seriously. Cardamom and honey, lavender and lemon, pistachio, chocolate, coffee. Spends minutes in front of the refrigerator doors, reading labels, asking my opinion for what to buy. That one has a nice label. The blue writing is cute. He adds it to the cart, begins to linger over the rows of ice cream cones. I wonder when he'll want to start making those at home. At the register, the woman with the gold metal glasses scans our items. Her hair, the same burgundy it was last week. Those frames look great on you. She chuckles, you say that every week, because you always look so good in them. She looks at the bitter melon, squints. I stir fry that with shallots, chili, turmeric, salt. What is it like? S adds toffee to the belt. He always finds something to add. Unbelievably bitter. She's the only one I know who eats it. It's really good for you, healthy. She smiles, hands me the receipt. See you next week. Friday nights, S asks, what ice cream do you want tonight? Tumibo. He pulls ice cream pints out of the freezer, allows them to warm some, meticulously scoops them into that cone. adds sprinkles, wraps them in napkin, brings them over. I wonder if baby S loved eating ice cream, watching sitcoms, cars passing by, the red brake lights seeping into the room through the balcony doors, feet curled up under the blanket. And last one, this is the last poem. I really have an affinity for definition poems. If people would accept it, all my poems would be definitions. So this one is titled Poetry. Noun. 1. The act of turning on the tea kettle in the morning, though she hasn't gotten out of bed yet. Only the small lights on in the kitchen, the sky still dark outside. 2. Watching music videos from the aughts and forgetting all that happened between then and now. Or rather, remembering that oversized white button-up with a loose necktie, red lipstick, and inexperienced nerves that found no reasons ever to be rattled. 3. Cleaning the shower door, the smell of bleach beginning to lose its zing. She has her cleaning outfit on, the one she waits to wear every Saturday morning, because those socks slide across the floor perfectly to pound for pound. 4. Dough rising for the 3rd time, because airy panettone is perfect for breakfast on the weekend mornings when the sky is solemn gray and solid, a ceiling to make the world smaller and more familial. 5. Writing a story for the umpteenth time, rather a joy to play, bend, and recolor. Montages reconfigured one pane to the next. 6. A retelling. Thank you.
Nadia, you do such an amazing job weaving details on faith and food and family, and I think it shows you've done, had education in this, so thank you so much for sharing with us. I want to welcome the second last poet up then, Natalie Company.
Right, yeah, I think so. People say, you're so cute and short. I'm like, no, I'm just fun-sized, I'm really shy when it comes to talking about myself, so I'll make it brief and make it more about the poetry. Good. Can you hear? Yeah.
Yeah.
This is good? Okay. So my name is Gauthami Lakejo. My name got really complicated after I got married. I was born in India, and I came to this country when I was 5 years old, lived in New York, moved to New Mexico, and now in Texas. I'm a classically trained pianist, and I have my own studio on the side, and I'm also the founder and Chief Empathy Officer of Color Me Safe Foundation. Our table is downstairs, so our whole mission is to provide guidance, solutions, advocacy, and education related to child welfare and families. So we work with families that are going through domestic violence, the child welfare system, and families that are going through and dealing with tumultuous custody and divorce issues. So we have a number of different education initiatives. 2 of them focused on the South Asian community called Ask Auntie. So who's Auntie? She is authentic, understanding, nurturing, trustworthy, inclusive, and empathetic. And it's a safe space for teens to go to. So I have 2 points that I'm going to read. One is about Diwali. And I often think about what's happening in the world, and I will tell you, it's on fire. And every day I pray for unity, compassion, and it's time to celebrate our similarities and embrace our differences. So when someone asked me to write this poem about Diwali, I think about when was the last time I truly felt unity. So I hope this poem resonates. Diwali in the desert. I was born in India, yet grew beneath New Mexico skies, where tumbleweeds wandered and oil wells would rise. In a small town of 32,000, so quiet and few, we were one of the 11 families weaving something new. Diwali, my Diwali, lit the desert night with borrowed halls alive in color and light. We learned Sanskrit prayers, their meanings we shared, so even new voices felt welcome, prepared. Our non-Indian friends embraced us with grace, joining the Ras, keeping the rhythm in place. In that little town, acceptance ran deep. Friendship a promise we all chose to keep. Our culture was cherished, not held apart. Friends leaned in, learning each prayer by heart. With eager hands, they join the dance and song, proving that shared light makes every soul strong. By high school, the gatherings outgrew every hall, a triumph of culture and a gift for us all. Though far from the Ganges, our diyas still shone, showing that culture can travel, take root, and be grown. Deepavali was more than a festival to keep. It was a bridge in the desert, a promise we reap. For in every diya, a truth shone bright and stark. Light will always, always defeat the dark. So this next poem I'm about to read is completely opposite from the first one. So I want to know from the audience, how many of you know what Fair and Lovely is? Yes. How many of you were survivors of Fair and Lovely? So this is a satirical poem taken from one of my very old blog articles that I wrote. It was a letter to Fair and Lovely. So here we go. All right. Fairly and lovelier. Dear Fair and Lovely, it's been a minute since we last met. Me at the mirror, you in that tube, promising dreams I'd rather forget. I rubbed you in like devotion, massaged hope into my skin with emotion, thinking if I prayed hard enough, maybe transformation would turn wheatish into a lighter shaded promotion. In your commercials, girls spin like goddesses, glowing, hair wind machine flowing, men gasping, strangers knowing, as if fair skin alone sets the world in motion. You preached fair equals lovely, and I believed tragically and blindly, like melanin was a mistake, and confidence had to be purchased in installments monthly. But, plot twist, no matter how many layers I spread, no matter how much milk I added, my dark chocolate stayed dark chocolate. Honestly, I feel misled. Not even cookies and cream, cameo, no matter how hard I scrub that colonial dream, yo. Turns out you're not magic, you're just capitalism with fragrance, selling shame to teenagers, disguised as self-improvement and radiance. And looking back now with comedic wit, I finally realized you're just a polished crock of shit. A fairy tale scam wrapped in chemical grit. I finally woke up to reality's truth. My wheatish skin is the wet dream of tanning booths. While Snow White is out here hiding from the sun, hoping no one asks about her situation with Edward from Twilight, hon. You didn't fail to lighten my skin, you failed to broaden your vision. You're a scam in a pastel tube funded by colorism and colonialism. So here's my farewell, respectfully rude. Keep your fairness, I'll keep my mood. Keep your promises, I'll keep my pride. You can take your shade charts and step aside. May your marketing campaign crumble like old compact powder and make girls everywhere reject you louder and prouder. May someone pour a bucket of brown into your glossy scheme until you're drenched in melanin and forced to retire your fairy tale dream. Yours no longer, never again your lover, wheatish and lovelier, proudly brown and very, very unbothered. Huge shout out to Vera and Desi magazine for having me today. This is amazing, and it's an honor to be here in a room full of creatives, so thank you.
I thought I would learn that, so this time. Yeah, a little bit. Thank you so much for welcoming me. I definitely didn't hear that when I was 14, but I'm glad I heard it at 24, so thank you so much for sharing your words and also for running Color Me Safe Foundation. Again, there's a table outside, so please talk to her afterwards. I want to welcome the very last poet of the night, me.
Hello, I'm Mehfil.
Unfortunately, Mehfil was never accepted in society as a respectable art form due to its taboo nature, and the genre saw a gradual decline in popularity with the arrival of European sensibilities, at which point many works were lost or actively destroyed. So, I'd like to share some of the few that remain because I think they're really important to our history. Mehfil gives us something rare, often kept secret behind closed doors. Access to the women's world through Orat Zaban, their private language. The main ingredient of Mehfil is feminine colloquy, words and phrases selectively used by begums, madams, with their intimate female companions in the zanana, which was the women's quarters of the palaces and the households of the aristocracy. So the most important amongst these are specific words that were used only by women to address each other. So one example of these is dugana, which literally translated would probably be double fruit or double. So it used to be used as a term for fruit that shared one shell, like two mangoes that just had one skin. But in the context of the poems that I'm going to be reading to you, it's going to be used to refer to and address a woman's intimate companion. So you'll see this term come up several times today because my selections do focus on poems regarding women's amorous relations with each other. These verses are laced with invitations of romantic liaison, lust, and passion. As we go, I'll be pointing out some terminology to watch out for, to expanding your understanding of the poem, but also to introduce you to some Urdu vocabulary. So, the first poem today we'll start with, two poets of Delhi. The first is Inshallah Khan, Insha, and then the second will be Saadat Yar Khan, otherwise known as Ramhi. So in this poem, the poet Insha humorously recounts how the speaker's neighbor asking to borrow hot coals to relight her kitchen fire leads to a different sort of fire. One thing to note is that Mehfil uses a lot of double entendre, words with double meanings. In this poem, watch for the terms noch, which is to grab, and muthipar, which is a handful, paired with the nabramane, if you don't mind, used suggestively. It's not exactly subtle, but try to see if you can figure out what exactly the speaker is asking to grab. आग लेने को जो आए तो कहीं आग लगा, आग लेने को जो आए तो कहीं आग लगा, बीबी हमसाए ने दी जी में मेरी आग लगा, बीबी हमसाए ने दी जी में मेरी आग लगा. When she came to take fire, an attraction took hold. The neighbor lady lit a fire in my heart. Na bura mane to nu noch ke muthi par, na bura mane to nu noch ke muthi par bedame har teri kyari mein hara saag laga, bedame har teri kyari mein hara saag laga. If you don't mind, may I seize a handful or two? If you don't mind, may I seize a handful or two, young lady? Greens grow in every bed of yours. Okay. In the next poem, the speaker playfully begs for her lover to give her some relief, supposedly from their intimate relations, using the hyperbolic phrases, "Meri jaan gayi, my life is gone," and "Teri qurban gayi, your sacrifice is gone." An important distinction between Mehfil and Mehfil is that in Mehfil there's a realism, there's a lack of grand passion. Here, women's love is this worldly, not mystical. This is made clear through the speaker's explicit physical descriptions and complicated relationships with their objects of desire. So this poet, Rangin, uses different terms of endearment to toy with the dynamics between two women. First, we see that she calls her lover her baji, older sister. This is not her literal sister. In South Asia, your peers and even some of your elders may be referred to as sister or brother as terms of endearment, regardless of your familial connection. The speaker uses it to indicate their closeness as well as imply a power dynamic, which is then reinforced because the speaker will also refer to herself as her bandi, her slave, to indicate that she is at her mistress's mercy and her service. This pehnu mein ukhi ukhi meri jaan gayi. This pehnu mein ukhi ukhi meri jaan gayi. Mat sata mujhko dogana teri qurban gayi. Mat sata mujhko dogana teri qurban gayi. My pelvis aches. Oh, my life is going. My pelvis aches. Oh, my life is going. Don't harass me, Dogana. I beg of you. बाजी, तुम चाहती हो बंदी से कैसा इखलास? बाजी, तुम चाहती हो बंदी से कैसा इखलास? अजी तो कर कुंवरियों में नोच है ऐसा इखलास. अजी दो कुंवरियों में नोच है ऐसा इखलास. Older sister, what sort of affection do you want from this poor slave? Older sister, what sort of affection do you want from this poor slave? Oh ma'am, God forbid that there be such love between two maids. One important note I will make about this genre is that the Mehfils where Mehfil was performed was exclusively the space of men. Due to its taboo nature, Mehfil was barred from the zanana, the women's quarters. So most of the genre poets are actually male, resulting in a criticism that it's written with a voyeuristic male gaze and fetishizes sapphic relations, which I kind of agree with. However, there were some female Mehfil poets. One of the best known was Begum Rashki Mahal, who was one of the wives of the Wajid Ali Shah of Awad, which is also known as Lucknow. She used the pen name Begum for her illicit compositions. In these couplets, the speaker opines on the cruelty of her lover, who abandons her for an inferior alternative. Notice that by referring to her lover's lover as her dugana and later her sigana, we can conclude that this love triangle is one of three women. Keep an eye out again for the term baji, older sister, making it clear who's really in control in this relationship. Hey Manzoor Baji, satana tumhara. Hey Manzoor Baji, satana tumhara. Gila karti hai jo dugana tumhara. Gila karti hai jo dugana tumhara. Sister, I accept your harassment, your teasing. I accept your harassment, your teasing. It is your lover, your other mistress, who complains. घर से गाना गए, दुगाना मेरी मेहमान गई. घर से गाना के दुगाना मेरी मेहमान गई. मैं यहाँ अंगारों पे लौट के मेरी जान गई. मैं यहाँ अंगारों पे लौट के मेरी जान गई. My lover went as a guest to her lover's house. My lover went as a guest to her lover's house. I rolled on burning coals. My life left me. I'll wrap up by sharing a poem by Shir Kalandar Baksh. His pen name was Durad. He only has two poems within the genre that we know of, but he did write my favorite, named Japti Namas. Unfortunately, I have been unable to locate the full Urdu version of this poem, but I decided to share anyways, because it's my favorite, so this will just be the translation. The term japti, which means to cling, is a colloquialism for sapphic intercourse. And the women in this poem audaciously identify as japti namas, which is clinging women. Despite having husbands who clearly disapprove, they defiantly embody their desires and provoke other women to join them. Let's invite all the women in town who are given to clinging. To the enjoyment of this clinging, what other pleasure can compare? scrubbing above, below, is intercourse wonderfully rare. Making love with one's own likeness is a strange, delightful thing. Even if you get entrapped, being so consumed is comforting. When passion overflowing swells the womb's mouth, how can I stop? If anyone's opposed to you, who cares? To hell with them. When the heart is sorrowful, all space, all time appears empty. To live with unfulfilled desire, such a life is burdensome. When their husbands forbade them to do what they were doing, they said, "We are now famous everywhere as clinging women." Why not act upon it then? When going out to dance, why wear a veil? In my opinion, this is the genre at its finest, evoking the consuming desire and the joyous release found in the Mehfil ghazals, yet unique in its focus on the sapphic and sexual experiences. To me, it captures the full experience of the sapphic union, a site of a resistance against social repression, to hell with them, to live with unfulfilled desire, such a life is burdensome. And the fulfillment found even within the complex range of the sapphic experience. Even if you get entrapped, being so consumed is comforting. Thank you. Thank you so much, Neen. It's such a treat to hear these words both in English and in Urdu, and I love the way you flipped the script on traditional love and lust, so thank you so much. That is all our poets, so can we give a round of applause to all of them? I feel like I want to go home and like write. I feel very reflective. Like, I want to be able to do this one day at open mics. Thank you all for being brave and doing that, sharing your words, your feelings, your fits. Everyone looks really amazing tonight, so thank you. I'm gonna switch gears because the Mehfil is not just for poetry, it's also for music. So we actually have a music performance as well tonight. It is Bree, a singer and songwriter, so I'm gonna give a little bit more information about her. Growing up Indian American, Bree's musical journey began with her exposure to Indian classical music at the age of 4. Since then, she's taken inspiration from a diverse variety of genres and artists, including Aretha Franklin, A.R. Rahman, and BTS. Fusing her love for pop, R&B, and Bollywood music, Bree brings a fresh new voice for young adults. She is a Berklee College of Music graduate where she earned a double major in songwriting and professional music, and over the years, she's performed at over 100 different venues, some notable ones including South by Southwest in Austin, as well as the House of Blues in Dallas. Hi everyone, thank you for having me. First of all, thank you Vera for having me in Desi Digest. This is an honor and a pleasure. It's rare to see such spaces filled with South Asians, you know? It's rare. And let me try to raise this mic first. It's a little difficult. That's good, yeah. Yeah. You'd think I would know how to do that after performing so much, but this one's a new mic, so. So I am going to be singing songs I've written. It's not poetry, but I did start my writing journey with poetry at a young age, and I think that naturally led into songwriting because I was always very inclined to music. And yeah, so this first song I'm going to sing for you guys is called Fantasy. It's the first song I ever released back in 2020. So here it is.
Is it coming out of the speaker there? No. Sorry, y'all.
I'm supposed to say things to fill the space, but I'm not going to talk it. Thank you. Thank you so much. We're getting there. earlier this year. And honestly, New York really burnt me out, so I've been in seclusion for the past year, and I haven't really done much performances, so it feels like a big step out to come back and perform, so I'm a little nervous, but thank you for having me. So this next song is unreleased, first time performing it live. It'll be coming out hopefully next month, and it's in Hindi and English, mix of both. Yes. It's called Kabhi Ye Dil.
I gotta protect it, don't want more scars. I've been bleeding from an open wound. Born into it, I don't know what to do. How to move.